Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So thank you very much for joining today's Bhagavatam session. Shankar Prabhu, would you mind putting a reminder in the group?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Anil Prabhu, Padma Mataji, Philip Prabhu, Shankar Prabhu. Oh, just 1 second. Right, that's okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat-yuttama-shloke Bhaktir-bhavati naishtuki. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we will be discussing chapter 28 of third canto. It is part of Lord Kapila's instructions to his mother, Devahuti. In the previous chapters, we have seen Lord Kapila explaining the Sankhya philosophy, analysis of the material elements. It is also called jnana, and especially in the previous chapter 27, we had seen devotion mixed with the jnana or sankhya. Devotion, not pure devotion, but devotion mixed with the sankhya or jnana is described in the previous chapter by Lord Kapila. And in this chapter, we would see bhakti mixed with Ashtanga yoga, yoga mishra bhakti. So it is not pure devotion, but yes, there is yoga, Ashtanga yoga involved, as well as devotion in this chapter. So these are still technical, but no problem. Within in the next 1 or 2 chapters, we will finish all these technicalities, and then and then we come to pastimes, other pastimes of the Lord. So let's read this chapter. I'll share the screen. So can I request Padma Mataji to read text 1 to 12, please?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Text 1. The personality of Godhead said, "My dear mother, O daughter of the king, now I shall explain to you the system of yoga, the object of which is to concentrate the mind. By practicing this system, one can become joyful and progressively advance towards the path of the absolute truth. Text 2. One should execute his prescribed duties to the best of his ability and avoid performing duties not allotted to him. One should be satisfied with as much gain as he achieves by the grace of the Lord, and one should worship the lotus feet of a spiritual master. Text 3. One should cease performing conventional religious practices and should be attracted to those which lead to salvation. One should eat very frugally and should always remain secluded so that he can achieve the highest perfection of life. Text 4. One should practice non-violence and truthfulness, should avoid thieving, and be satisfied with possessing as much as he needs for his maintenance. He should abstain from sex life, perform austerity, be clean, study the Vedas, and worship the supreme form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 5. One must observe silence, acquire steadiness by practicing different yogic postures, control the breathing of the vital air, withdraw the senses from sense objects, and thus concentrate the mind on the heart. Text 6. Fixing the vital air and the mind in one of the 6 circles of the vital air circulation within the body, thus concentrating one's mind on the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called samadhi or samadhana of the mind. Text 7. By these processes, or any other true processes, one must control the contaminated, unbridled mind, which is always attracted by the material enjoyment, and thus fix himself in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 8. After controlling one's mind and sitting postures, one should spread a seat in a secluded and sanctified place, sit there in an easy posture, keeping the body erect, and practice breath control. Text 9. The yogi should clear the passage of vital air by breathing in the flowing manner. First, he should inhale very deeply, then hold the breath in, and finally exhale. Or, reversing the process, the yogi can first exhale, then hold the breath outside, and finally inhale. This is done so that the mind may become steady and free from external disturbances. Text 10. The yogis who practice such breathing exercises are very soon freed from all mental disturbances, just as gold, when put into fire and fanned with air, becomes free from all impurities. Text 11. By practicing the process of pranayama, one can eradicate the contamination of his physiological condition, and by concentrating the mind, one can become free from all sinful activities. By restraining the senses, one can free himself from material association, and by meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become free from 3 modes of material attachment. Text 12. When the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga, one should concentrate on the tip of the nose with half-closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, Hare Krishna. So we all will become Ashtanga yogis by end of this chapter today. So some of these contents were also given in Bhagavad Gita. In the 8th chapter, there is a bit of Ashtanga yoga plus bhakti is mentioned. And in the 6th chapter of Gita, also Ashtanga yoga is mentioned. It is called Dhyana yoga. Those who have read Gita, they can link, they can connect easily. So we know that there are 3 processes So Mother Devahuti asks initial question about how we can come out of this concept of I am and mine. Mm? Aham mameti, I am this body and the things that are around me relating to me. Mm? Everything belongs to me. I am the owner. I possess. Mm? So we think we are this body and things belong to us. We identify like that. So how can we come out of this this conception or and condition and mm, Kapila Muni, Lord Kapila said there are three processes, and one is Sankhya, the other is yoga, and third is pure bhakti. And out of these three, pure bhakti is the best process. Mm. However, sometimes we have to understand the other processes as well. Mother Devoti would like to know other processes as well. That means Sankhya and Yoga process. Sankhya is jnana, the speculative knowledge. And so this we discussed about the jnana process in the previous chapter, and in this process, yoga process, Ashtanga yoga process is elaborately mentioned here. This is also a bona fide process for one to become liberate. This is also a bona fide process. But however, this process is not suitable for the current age. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, a sixth chapter, when Krishna explains Ashtanga Yoga process to Arjuna, and the process is like after hearing entire process, Arjuna says, I can't practice this. Yoyam yoga tvaya prokta samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitam stiram. I am unable to, digest this. I can't comprehend this process of yoga system that you had mentioned, Ashtanga yoga process. And so even 5,000 years ago, Arjuna rejected. Arjuna rejected in the sense Arjuna said it is difficult for him. And what to speak of, the current age. It is very, very difficult to practice this Ashtanga yoga process. And in these purports, Prabhupada time and again mentions the best process for this age is Nama Sankirtanam. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanastam Namami Harim Param. So chanting the holy names of the Lord is the recommended process for this particular age. One will achieve whatever one achieved in the past by meditation, by sacrifices, by deity worship, can be simply achieved by chanting the holy names of the Lord in this particular age. So Ashtanga yoga, Ashta means 8, Anga means limbs, yoga is the process that which you connect to the Lord. Yoga means, so linking ourselves with the Supreme. Yoga really means linking oneself with the Supreme. Yoga doesn't mean that just putting some postures, performing some gymnastics. It is not yoga. Yoga literally means connecting oneself or linking oneself with the Supreme. That is yoga. You can see, when we read this chapter, we understand. People say that they're doing yoga. They're attending yoga sessions. So what kind of yoga are they performing? You will understand after reading this chapter. Mm. So Ashta, eight, there are 8 limbs in this yoga process. And, many of you have heard those names as well. In the Sanskrit, it is called Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Mm. So Yama, Niyama means do's and don'ts. Mm. And asana means sitting postures. One should sit, one should choose a place which is neither too high nor too low, sit on a kusha grass covered with deer skin, and hold his body, neck, and head erect. So this is a sitting posture, asana. And pranayama is a breathing technique. And pratyahara means withdrawing senses from the sense objects. So this is a preparatory stage. First 5 items are preparatory. And then comes 6th is dharana. Dharana means focusing one's mind on the Lord's form. And dhyana is intensified focus. And samadhi means full absorption on the form of the Lord. These are the 8 processes. So Lord Kapila mentions that by practicing this, one can achieve the liberation path. What are the rules and regulations? He gives in this chapter in text 2 to 4, he gives yama and niyama, rules and regulations. There are some you can see that eating very frugally and always remaining in a secluded place and being non-violent, being truthful, refraining from theft, and practicing celibacy. If you are a householder, you can't do this. But if you are a householder, you can perform bhakti yoga. That is possible. There are a number of householder devotees. Arjuna was a householder. There are a number of people who were householders and great devotees. One should practice austerity, cleanliness, and study Vedas, practice silence. And like this, there are various rules and regulations. In our process, Prabhupada given 4 do's, 4 don'ts. No meat eating and no intoxication, no illicit sex, and then what is the 4th one? No gambling. So these are the 4 don'ts, and the do's are for us chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra on a daily basis. And other do's also, there are 6. Rupa Goswami gives 6 do's in the nectar of instruction. Utsaha, being enthusiastic. This is a do, one of the do's. Utsaha, enthusiastic. Nichaya, determined. And dhairyat, being patient. And like that, there are various things. So we also have that. And then asana, we mentioned that one should sit in a, neither the seat should be too high nor too low, and use the kusha grass and lay deer skin, and it is said that the purpose of deer skin is snakes will be snakes won't it will repellent, like the snakes won't go there. Once you are in the meditation, when you are a forest, And if you have to think of a snake, then you will be disturbed. But the deer skin will keep snakes away. So let's read some of these purports. And number 5, asana. So then comes to pranayam. After asana, it then comes to pranayam. Pranayam is breathing technique. So we'll read a little bit of this purport. Padmamataji, you can carry on reading this purport.
Yes, Prabhuji. There are 6 circles of vital air circulation within the body. The first circle is within the belly. The second circle is in the area of the heart. The third is in the area of the lungs. The fourth is on the palate. The fifth is between the eyebrows. And the highest, the 6th circle, is above the brain. One has to fix his mind and the circulation of the vital air and thus think of the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Lord. It is never mentioned that one should concentrate on the impersonal or void. It is clearly stated, Vaikuntha Leela. Leela means pastimes. Unless the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead has transcendental activities, where is the scope for thinking of these pastimes? It is through the processes of devotional service, chanting, and hearing of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that one can achieve this concentration. As described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord appears and disappears according to his relationships with different devotees. The Vedic literatures contain many narrations of the Lord's pastimes, including the Battle of Kurukshetra and historical facts related to the life and precepts of devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and Ambarisha Maharaj. One need only concentrate his mind on one such narration and become always absorbed in its thought. Then he will be in Samadhi. Samadhi is not an artificial bodily state. It is the state achieved when the mind is virtually absorbed in the thoughts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So here Prabhupada says that by reading the pastimes that are given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can always, focus or absorb our mind in the pastimes of the Lord. That is Samadhi. So next we will read. So with regards to the pranayam, so the process is that there are two processes, breathing techniques. One is called, first one inhales and then holds it for some time and exhales. There are terms. Inhaling is called puraka, and then holding is called kumbhaka, and releasing is called rechaka. So inhale, hold, exhale, and the other it can be reversed also. You can exhale first, hold some time, and then inhale. But this technique, by doing this technique once, one is able to controls one's mind. Then he's getting ready for dharana. Dharana means absorption. Sometimes it is mentioned in the yoga system that they just simply focus on void. It is not like that. You can see in this chapter that the focus, they meditate on the form of the Lord. in the dharana stage, they meditate on the form of the Lord. They visualize the form of the Lord and always think of the form of the Lord. For that, you need to prepare. One must observe these, one must do these 5 preparatory systems, observe rules and regulations, and having the proper sitting posture and breathing technique, and then refrain from sense gratification. So then one is able to focus on the form of the Lord. That's one of the quotes. Yeah. So purport, I'll read the purport of 10th verse. This process of purifying the mind is also recommended by Lord Chaitanya. He says that one should chant Hare Krishna. He says further, Param Vijayate, all glories to Sri Krishna Sankirtana. All glories are given to the chanting of the holy names of Krishna, because as soon as one begins this process of chanting, the mind becomes purified. Cheto Darpanamarjanam. By chanting the holy name of Krishna, one is cleansed of the dirt that accumulates in the mind. One can purify the mind either by breathing process or by chanting process. Excuse me. Just as one can purify gold by putting it in a fire and fanning it with a bellows. So Prabhupada gives here simple techniques. Mantra. Mantra means, man means mind, tra means deliver. Mantra will deliver one from one's mind. One is able to control the mind. So our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for controlling the mind, he says that chant Hare Krishna mantra. So that is important. Okay, so yeah, we will now move on to the next section. Once you are ready, once you are able to control your mind and withdraw senses from the sense object and follow all the rules and regulations, then you are ready to focus, which is called dharana. So, description of the Lord's form for performing dharana is given in text 13 to 18. Okay, so next devotee can read that. Who is there? Shankar Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Text 13 to 18, please.
Text 13. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a cheerful lotus-like countenance with ruddy eyes like the interior of a lotus and a swarthy body like the petals of a blue lotus. He bears a conch, discus, and mace in 3 of his hands. Text 14. His loins are covered by a shining cloth, yellowish like the filaments of a lotus. On his breast, he bears the mark of Srivatsa, a curl of white hair. The brilliant Kaustuba gem is suspended from his neck. Text 15. He also wears around his neck a garland of attractive sylvan flowers, and a swarm of bees, intoxicated by its delicious fragrance, hums about the garland. He is further superbly adorned with a pearl necklace, a crown, and a pair of armlets, bracelets, and anklets. Text 16. His loins and hips encircled by a girdle, he stands on the lotus of his devotee's heart. He is most charming to look at, and his serene aspect gladdens the eyes and souls of the devotees who behold him. Text 17. The Lord is eternally very beautiful and is worshipable by all the inhabitants of every planet. He is ever youthful and always eager to bestow his blessing upon his devotees. Text 18. The glory of the Lord is always worth singing, for his glories enhance the glories of his devotees. One should therefore meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead and upon his devotees. One should meditate on the eternal form of the Lord until the mind becomes fixed. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So this is the next process called dharana. You see here, so they meditate, they focus their thoughts on the Lord and Lord's form. Clearly, it is given. So this after they're able to control their mind. So here in text 12, you can see that when the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga, one should concentrate on the tip of the nose with half closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so from text 13 to 18, it is given. So meditation on the Lord's form, the third anga of the 9 limbs of bhakti process, Maranam, is the 7th anga in Ashtanga Yoga. So it is equivalent to Smaranam. This process, 7th process, is Dharana. Dharana is the focus, and it is equivalent to Smaranam, remembering. In yoga, this is for attaining liberation. Taking this opportunity, Kapila describes the Lord's form used by both devotees and yogis for meditation. So we will just read the purport of text. It's a beautiful verse. We can recite this. Prasanna Bhojam Padma Garbhare Kshanam Nilotpaladhala Shamam Shankachakra Gadadharam. Lord's form is described here. So Shankar Prabhu, you can read the purport as well for this one.
Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is definitely recommended herein that one concentrate his mind upon the form of Vishnu. There are 12 different forms of Vishnu which are described in teachings of Lord Chaitanya. One cannot concentrate his mind on anything void or impersonal. The mind should be fixed on the personal form of the Lord, whose attitude is cheerful as described in this verse. Bhagavad Gita states that meditation on the impersonal or void features is very troublesome to the meditator. Those who are attached to the impersonal or void features of meditation have to undergo a difficult process because we are not accustomed to concentrating our minds upon anything impersonal. Actually, such concentration is not even possible. Bhagavad Gita also confirms that one should concentrate his mind on the personality of Godhead.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So here, Lord's form is described. This is how they look. They think of the Lord form. You can see they meditate on Vishnu clearly. Here you see bears a conch, discus, mace in 3 of his hands, and lotus, of course, blue lotus. So this morning I was hearing a lecture, and Prabhupada was mentioning in that lecture. So can you meditate on formless? Can you meditate on air? So it would be difficult. And in the 12th chapter of Gita, he said that klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam. For those who are attached to the impersonal aspect, formless aspect, the progress is very troublesome. It's not that easy. It is troublesome, it is said. Troublesome. So And for us, just by reading these pastimes of the Lord, then we can meditate upon the particular form of the Lord. Hmm? Um, Bhagavad Gita also confirmed that one should concentrate his mind on the personality of Godhead. So let's see. And in these verses, you can see that various things are mentioned. Cheerful, lotus-like countenance, ruddy eyes like the interior of a lotus, and he bears conch, discus, mace, and holds a lotus in his hand. He has got Srivatsa mark on his chest. Kaustuba gem is got suspended from his neck. He wears a garland, Vaijayanti garland, and various things like that are given in these verses. And one should meditate upon all the limbs until the mind is fixed. So this is how the Ashtanga Yogi, meditates on the form of the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that by worshipping the deity in the temple, one will be able to achieve that same benefit. It is said that there are, deity can be made up of sand, wood, metal, etc. And when the deity is installed, the deity in the temple is actually Sakshat Krishna. Sakshat, it is not different from the Lord. It is another incarnation of the Lord. We know there is a pastime of Sakshi Gopal, witness Gopal. So we did a drama recently on this pastime of witness Gopal, Sakshi Gopal. So in this story, most of you have heard about it, but in this particular story, there were two Brahmanas, elderly and young Brahmana. They went on a pilgrimage. And after the pilgrimage, visiting many holy places, they eventually reached a holy place in Vrindavan. In that temple, there was a deity named Gopal. Gopal deity was there. And the elderly Brahman, so he said that, I took a lot of service from you. You were so good to me. You were serving all these days, many years actually, on the pilgrimage. In those days, there were no, the commuting system was only, you have to walk on your feet. You have to go around. Many years you served me. I would like to offer, hand over my daughter in marriage to you. And then, he took a vow. That elderly Brahman made that promise in front of this Gopal deity in Vrindavan. But when he came home, the elderly Brahmana's family objected because they were very aristocratic, whereas this young Brahman was from a not so aristocratic background. So then the young Brahman, he went to Vrindavan to call the Lord for witness, because this elderly Brahman made a promise in front of the deity. And the elderly young Brahman, when he went there, so he offered his prayers, and then the Lord spoke. The deity actually spoke. So you go and arrange a meeting there. I will appear in that meeting. And the Brahmin says that, no, my Lord, you have to come in this form. Then only they will be able to trust you. And the deity speaks again, says that I have never seen a deity walking. And the Brahmin said, If you can walk, if you can talk, you can also walk. Usually deities don't speak, but you are speaking. You are not different from Lord Krishna, like that. So the deity then spoke. Yes, he agreed to walk. He walked 100 days. How many days? 100 days the deity walked, followed this Brahmana. Every day he was cooking 1 kilo of rice, feeding the deity. And he came and to Vidyanagara, this place. It is actually in Andhra Pradesh, this place Vidyanagara. So he walked to that place, and he said, he gave witness. Yes, this Brahman promised in front of me, and the marriage happened. So what I'm trying to say, the devotee who worships in the temple can also get the same benefit of dharana by focusing his mind on the form of the Lord. In our temples also we have harati. During the harati we take darshan, especially 7 o'clock harati. We call it Shrungar Harati. We decorate very nicely, very opulently, and we take darshan of the Lord. Okay, so we'll move on. The next section is from 19 to 33, please. Who would like to read? Can anybody volunteer?
Yes.
Anil Prabhu. Yes, first one is Anil. After that, Ambada, you will do the next section. Anil Prabhu. Thank you, Anil Prabhu. So let me share, and from 19 onwards, isn't it? Yeah, 19 to 33. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Thus, always merged in devotional service, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, lying down, or sitting within him. For the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are always beautiful and attractive. In fixing his mind on the eternal form of the Lord, the yogi should not take a collective view of all his limbs, but should fix the mind on each individual limb of the Lord. The devotee should first concentrate his mind on the Lord's lotus feet, which are adorned with the marks of a thunderbolt, a god, a banner, and a lotus. The splendor of their beautiful ruby nails resembles the orb of the moon and dispels the thick gloom of one's heart. The blessed Lord Shiva becomes all the more blessed by bearing on his head the holy waters of the Ganges, which has its source in the water that washed the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord's feet act like thunderbolts hurled to shatter the mountain of sin stored in the mind of the meditating devotee. One should therefore meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time. The yogi should fix in his heart the activities of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by all demigods and is the mother of the Supreme Person, Brahma. She can always be found massaging the legs and the thighs of the transcendent Lord, very carefully serving him in this way. Next, the yogi should fix his mind in meditating on the personality of Godhead's thighs, the storehouse of all energy. The Lord's thighs are whitish blue, like the lotus, like the luster of the linseed flower, and appear most graceful when the Lord is carried out on the shoulders of Garuda. Also, the yogi should contemplate his rounded hips, which are encircled by a girdle that rests on the exquisite yellow silk cloth that extends down to his ankles. The yogi should then meditate on his moon-like navel in the center of his abdomen. From his navel, which is the foundation of the entire universe, sprang the lotus stem containing all the different planetary systems. The lotus is the residence of Brahma, the first created being. In the same way, the yogi should concentrate his mind on the Lord's nipples, which resemble a pair of most exquisite emeralds, and which appear whitish because of the rays of the milk white pearl necklaces adorning his chest.
Yeah, please carry on.
And the yogi should then meditate on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the abode of Goddess Mahalakshmi. The Lord's chest is the source of all transcendental pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The yogi should then imprint on his mind the neck of the Personality of Godhead, who is adored by the entire universe. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustubha gem, which hangs on his chest. The yogi should further meditate upon the Lord's forearms, which are the source of all the powers of the demigods who control the various functions of material nature. Then the yogi should concentrate on the polished ornaments which were burnished by Mount Mandara as it revolved. He should also duly contemplate the Lord's discus, the Sudarshana Chakra, which contains 1,000 spokes and dazzling luster, as well as the conch, which looks like a swan in his lotus-like palm. The yogi should meditate upon his club, which is named Kaumodaki and is very dear to him. This club smashes the demons, who are always inimical soldiers, and is smeared with their blood. One should also concentrate on the nice garland on the neck of the Lord, which is always surrounded by bumblebees with their nice buzzing sound, and one should meditate upon the pearl necklace on the Lord's neck, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in his service. The yogi should then meditate on the lotus-like concentration, countenance of the Lord, who presents his different forms in this world out of compassion for the anxious devotees. His nose is prominent, and his crystal clear cheeks are illuminated by the oscillation of his glittering alligator shaped earrings. The yogi then meditates upon the beautiful face of the Lord, which is adorned with curly hair and decorated by lotus like eyes and dancing eyebrows. A lotus surrounded by swarming bees and a pair of swimming fish would be put to shame by its elegance. The yogis should contemplate with full devotion the compassionate glances frequently cast by the Lord's eyes, for they soothe the most fearful threefold agonies of his devotees. His glances, accompanied by loving smiles, are full of abundant grace. A yogi should similarly meditate on the most benevolent smile of Lord Sri Hari, a smile which, for all those who bow to him, dries away the ocean of tears caused by intense grief. The yogi should also meditate on the Lord's arched eyebrows, which are manifested by his internal potency in order to charm the sex god for the good of the sages. With devotion steeped in love and affection, the yogi should meditate within the core of his heart upon the laughter of Lord Vishnu. The laughter of Vishnu is so captivating that it can be easily meditated upon. When the Lord, when the Supreme Personality of when the Supreme Lord is laughing, one can see his small teeth, which resemble jasmine buds rendered rosy by the splendor of his lips. Once devoting his mind to this, the yogi should no longer desire to see anything else. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. You just completed Dhyana stage, Prabhu. Uh, so this is the next stage. Dhyana. So dharana we discussed. Dharana means focusing of the mind, focusing the mind on the form of the Lord. And in the dhyana stage, one focuses the mind on each limb of the Lord, starting from the feet onwards. So let me read. So with heart filled with pure emotions, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, sitting, or lying down, and meditates on his beautiful pastimes in the spiritual world. Mm. Having meditated on the Lord with all his limbs, the yogi should fix the mind on each individual limb of the Lord. So lotus feet, then he fixes on janu, means knees, thighs, hips, um, navel, nipples, chest, neck, arms, a club. Lord holds a club called Kaumadiki. You also, meditate on that. Then mala, garlands. Lord wears garland, and he's got a pearl necklace. He meditated on that pearl necklace also. Mm. And then lotus face, eyes, glance, smile, eyebrows, and laughter. Mm. So like this, he meditated. And especially, I just wanted to mention one particular thing in this one was the 22nd verse. Mm. So you can see here, the blessed Lord Shiva becomes all the more blessed by bearing on his head the holy water of the Ganges, which has its source from the water that has washed the Lord's lotus feet. So here, so it is about the feet. While he's meditating on the feet, he thinks like that. Mm. So Lord Shiva is already blessed, and he becomes more blessed because he bears the water that has washed the lotus feet of the Lord. Mm. That is Ganga. Mm. You know that Bhagirath brought Mother Ganga from heaven to the earth. So that time Lord Shiva bore the waters of Ganges on his head that actually washed the lotus feet of the Lord. So then we will move on to the final section, text 34 to 44. Ambada Prabhu.
Prabhuji Nataraj, Hare Krishna. I'm
Hare
here.
Krishna.
Is it from 24?
34, please.
Until?
To the end of the chapter.
Okay. Thank you. Text 24. Next,
34.
the yogi should.
No, 34, 34.
Oh, I see. Sorry, forgive me. Yeah. I'm reading on my own text here.
You are probably in dhyana stage. You are meditating on the Lord.
Yeah, soon. Yeah, but I mean, I put up on the web. So, text 34. By following this course, the yogi gradually develops pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. In the course of his progress in devotional service, the hairs on his body stand erect through excessive joy, and he is constantly bathed in a stream of tears occasioned by intense love. Gradually, even the mind, which he used as a means to attract the Lord, as one attracts a fish to a hook, withdraws from material activity. Text 35. When the mind is thus completely freed from all material contamination and detached from material objectives, it is just like the flame of a lamp. At that time, the mind is actually dovetailed with that of the Supreme Lord and is experienced as one with Him because it is freed from the interactive flow of the material qualities. Text 36. This thus situated in the highest transcendental stage, the mind ceases from all material reactions and becomes situated in its own glory, transcendental to all material conceptions of happiness and distress. At that time, the yogi realized the truth of his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He discovers that pleasure and pain, as well as their interactions, which he attributed to his own self, are actually due to the false ego, which is a product of ignorance. Text 37. Because he has achieved his real identity, The perfectly realized soul has no conception of how the material body is moving or acting, just as an intoxicated person cannot understand whether or not he has clothing on his body. Text 38. The body of such liberated yogi, along with the senses, is taken charge of by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it functions until its destined activities are finished. The liberated devotee, being awake to his constitutional position and thus situated in samadhi, the highest perfectional stage of yoga, does not accept the byproducts of the material body as his own. Thus, he considers his bodily activities to be like the activities of a body in a dream. Text 39. Because of great affection for family and wealth, one accepts a son and some money as his own. And due to affection for the material body, one thinks that it is his. But actually, as one can understand that his family and wealth are different from him, the liberated soul can understand that he and his body are not the same. Text 40. The blazing fire is different from the flames, from the sparks and from the smoke, although all are intimately connected because they are born from the same blazing wood. Text 41. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Param Brahma, is the seer. He is different from the jiva, soul, or individual living entity, who is combined with the senses, the five elements, and consciousness. Text 42. A yogi should see the same soul in all manifestations, for all that exists is a manifestation of different energies of the Supreme. In this way, the devotee should see all living entities without distinction. That is realization of the Supreme Soul. Text 43. As fire is exhibited in different forms of wood, so under different conditions of the modes of material nature, the pure spirit soul manifests itself in different bodies. Text 44. Thus, the yogi can be in the self-realized position after conquering the insurmountable spell of Maya, who present herself as both the cause and effect of this material manifestation, and is therefore very difficult to understand. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. That's a long one. Just we will read this one. Yeah, let's read the purport to 39 and we'll conclude. Ambara Prabhu?
Yes, no problem. Purport. The status of real knowledge is explained in this verse. There are many children, but we accept some children as our sons and daughters because of our affection for them, although we know very well that these children are different from us. Similarly, because of great affection for money, we accept some amount of wealth in the bank as ours. In the same way, we claim that the body is ours because of affection for it. I say that is my body. I then extend that possessive concept and say, it is my hand, my leg, and further. It is my bank balance, my son, my daughter. But actually, I know that the son and the money are separated from me. It is the same with the body. I'm separate from the body, from my body. It is a question of understanding, and the proper understanding is called Prati Buddha. By obtaining knowledge in devotional service or Krishna consciousness, one becomes a liberated soul.
Thank you, Prabhu. So in the later section, after dhyana stage, where the yogi, Ashtanga yogi, focuses on each limb of the body of the Lord. Then what does he gain? He gains liberation, basically. And he's detached from everything material and achievement of his real identity. And he realizes his real identity, so detaches from this world and realizes his identity being the servant of the Supreme Lord. And how does he think? The thought process of yogi is given in the last section, and the yogi should see the super soul in all beings and all beings in the super soul. So this is how he sees, basically. Wherever he sees the super soul. And if he sees someone and he connects that this person is actually part of the Supreme Lord. And that's how the Ashtanga Yogi sees. So with that, we conclude chapter 28. In this chapter, the Lord Kapila had explained bhakti mixed with Ashtanga Yoga. So as a means to liberation. And this is a bona fide process as well. However, this process is not recommended for this particular age. This Ashtanga Yoga is the process recommended for Satya Yuga, where people used to live for 100,000 years at least, and they used to go to forest, meditate on the form of the Lord for 50,000, 60,000 years, like that. So our duration of life is very short in Kali Yuga, and our intelligence is also very short. We are very disturbed, and we are very unlucky. So we got so many qualifications of Kali Yuga, qualities of Kali Yuga. So the best process for us is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with this, by following the order of spiritual master, that is following 4 regulative principles, and chanting Hare Krishna mantra and serving the spiritual masters with full sincerity, we can achieve the same goal that the Ashtanga yogis are actually better destination. In the 6th chapter of Gita, it is said, Yogi nama sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. After all yogis, the best yogi is one who thinks of me all the time. So we can do that by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam and discussing the pastimes of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari.
Hare Hare Bol.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare
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 Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Jagannath Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhaktarinda ki jai. So yeah, these are a little bit of technical, but the thing is, we have to move forward. We may not fully grasp everything, but at the same time we can make progress. And devotees can read many times. I know that some devotees have read 40 times, but so at least we complete one time and we can repeat another time. The more we read, the more we engage, and the more we understand. So some of the technicalities are there, but don't worry, then we just carry on.